Okay, so uh, we have seen, we studied in the last class that the narrator is going to Manas Saravarna, like Kailash, Mount Kailash.
Mount Kailash.
Near Mount Saravar Lake is there. Okay, so yeah, to do a religious rite, okay, that is called Kora in their language, okay. So he has no familiarity with the road, so therefore he has taken a driver, uh, a Tibetan driver. He's called Satan. Okay, so he will help him in this terrain, mountainous terrain. Okay, and will also help him in case of any kind of challenges because he is a professional driver in this area, in this locality. Okay, therefore the narrator has taken the help of Satan, okay, and they are moving towards a place called Mount Kailash, okay. So on the way there were some challenges like snow-capped roads, some animals like mastiff, okay, dogs were also posing some challenges, and now we'll find some other challenges, okay, as they progress, okay, because these are inhospitable terrains, okay, they are not so smooth like today's national highways and all that. So, and moreover they are uphill, and moreover it was winter, so that has become the thing very difficult. So let's see. They were completely fearless of our vehicle. There means here mastiff, okay, shooting straight into our path, causing Satan to brake and swerve. Okay, sometimes applying hard brake and then swerve means maneuver to get past them. Okay, because they did not get away from the road, the mastiff dogs. Okay, so the dog would make chase for 100 meters or so before easing off. Having, you see here, having seen us off the property, it wasn't difficult to understand why ferocious Tibetan mastiffs became popular in China's imperial courts as hunting dogs brought along the Silk Road in ancient times as tribute from Tibet. So these mastiff dogs were in heavy demand even in the Tibet actually, because no, in the Chinese imperial courts, okay, and there ancient China's imperial courts as hunting dogs because and they were imported from Tibet. By now, we could see snow-capped mountains gathering on the horizon. Okay, horizon means in the mm, in the foreseeable mountain, in the upcoming mountain. Okay, horizon here. So they could see that the mountains are being snow-capped. Okay, they are snow-capped. So if the mountain is snow-capped, it means the road adjacent to the mountain will also be snow-capped. Okay, that is the another challenge that they will encounter now. We entered the valley where the river was wide and mostly clogged with ice, brilliant white and glinting in the sunshine. Okay, it was a river, but it was all clogged with ice, and it was shining uh, brilliant white and glinting in the sunshine. The trail hugged its bank, twisting with the meanders as we gradually gained height and the valley slides closed in. Okay, they were undertaking the uphill journey, actually uphill. So as they were going up, okay, the valley disappeared. Close to means here, valleys disappeared. The river valley, whatever they came across on the way, that closed in because they were going up. Next, the turns became sharper. Now the turns were very deadly turns. Okay, turns became very sharper. Okay, uh, like you might have, if you have ever gone to Mussoorie and all these places, you might have seen the turns were very sharper. Okay, turns are very sharper in the hilly terrain. Okay, so here turns became now more sharp. Okay, so the turns became sharper and the ride bumpier. Bumpier because It was not a concrete road. Okay, a lot of rocks are there, might be some sand, stones. Okay, so it became bumpier also. Okay, now it will pose a great challenge to the driver as well as the narrator. So Satan now in third gear as we continue to climb. He was in third gear. Okay, when they continued to climb, the track moved away from the icy river, laboring through steeper slopes that sported big rocks, daubed with patches of bright orange lichen. Beneath the rocks, hunks of snow clung on in the near permanent shade. So the uphill road was very challenging because of two factors. One is rocks, okay, in between, and you know, uh, then uh, then there was snow as well. Okay, so the description is a bit difficult. The track moved away from the icy river because they were going up, so they crossed the river valley, laboring through steeper slopes. Okay, stiff. Even the slopes are also very steep like this. Okay, because it's not always uphill. Sometimes uphill, sometimes they could go down also, and then again up. Okay, so even the slopes were very steep. That sported big rocks that were laden with. Those slopes were laden with big rocks, daubed with patches of bright orange lichen. Some plants were also there in between. Okay, beneath the rocks, hunks of snow clung on in the near permanent shade. Okay, so hunks of snow means pieces of snow were also there, and they are permanently settled onto the road. Okay, onto the steep road. So it was difficult for them to remove them. They had to get down from the car sometimes and then remove the snow or rocks, whatever was settled onto the track, and then they proceeded. So that is why I felt the pressure building up in my ears, held my nose, snorted, and cleared them because they were going up. So oxygen level will be uh, less there. Okay, so it might be that is why there is some change in his physical condition. Okay, he was feeling cold. Okay, so I felt the pressure. Then you see, we struggled round another tight band, and Saturn stopped. Another tight band means a curve. Okay, because when it came to curves, it was very difficult because on the one end there were some trees, on the other hand rocks, and sometimes permanent snow has also settled there. So curves were very deadly, it seemed. Okay, so I felt the pressure building up in my ears, held my nose, snorted, and cleared them. Okay, then we struggled around another tight band and Satan stopped. He had opened his door and jumped out of his seat before I realized what was going on. And there was a big snow, it seems. Okay, that is why Satan jumped out of his vehicle, okay, in order to remove the snow. Okay, um, then you see, I realized what was going on. Snow, said Daniel, as he too exited the vehicle, letting in a breath of cold air as he did so. A swath of the white stuff lay across the track. White stuff here refers to snow, okay? Swath means a large quantity, okay? Large rock type snow was there, okay? And it was lying across the track in front of them, thereby stopping the movement of the vehicle. So they had to get down, okay, in order to remove that. And removing that in a very cold weather is also very much challenging because they might catch cold or because it's very cold outside and they are inside the vehicle. So there will be a sharp change of some degrees of temperature when they come out of the vehicle. Okay, to remove the snow. So what happened? You see, the snow continued on either side of us, smoothing the abrupt bank on the upslope side. The bank was too stiff for our vehicle to scale, so there was no way around the snow patch. I joined Daniel as Satan stepped on to the encrusted snow. and began to slither and slide forward, stamping his foot from time to time to ascertain how sturdy it was. So they had to. There was another fellow called Daniel. So both the narrator Daniel got out of the car, and Satan tried to somehow maneuver through the snow. Okay, because if all three of them are there in the car, it will become heavy. Okay, that is why the narrator and Daniel went out of the car. Okay, got down from the car, and then Satan was trying to somehow manage find space to maneuver the car forward. Okay, so um, I looked I looked at my wristwatch. We were at 5,210 meters above the sea level. The snow didn't look too deep to me, but the danger wasn't its depth, Daniel said, so much as its icy top layer. If we slip off, the car would turn over, he suggested. As we saw Satan grab handfuls of dirt and fling them across the frozen surface, we both pitched in, and when the snow was spread with soil, Daniel and I stayed out of the vehicle to lighten Satan's load. He backed up and drove towards the dirty snow, eased the car onto its icy surface, and slowly drove its length without apparent difficulty. So when there was heavy obstacles on the way, okay, a swath of ice. That time, both the narrator and Daniel got down so that Satan could easily maneuver the vehicle forward. And this is how they did for several hours. Okay, this is how they had to get down sometimes. Okay, to lighten the vehicle. So that's how their onward journey progressed, with full of challenges, and challenges were mostly posed by the swath of the lump of ice, which look similar to big rocks. Okay, so that posed more challenges to their journey. And then you see 10 minutes later we stopped at another blockage. Not good, sir, Satan announced as he jumped out again to survey the scene. This time he decided to try and drive down the snow. Okay, instead of removing from the way, he tried to somehow maneuver between the ice. Okay, round the snow. Let's see now. The slope was stiff, started with major rocks, but somehow Satan negotiated them, his four-wheel drive vehicle lurching from one obstacle to the next. Lurching means proceeding from one obstacle to another. Proceeding from one obstacle to another. Okay, now in so doing, he cut off one of the hairpin bands, regaining the trail further up where the snow had not drifted. I checked my watch again as we continued to climb in the bright sunshine. We crept past 5,400 meters and my head began to throb horribly. Okay, I took gulps from my water bottle, which is supposed to help a rapid ascent. So he was feeling headache. Okay, so he immediately took water bottle to somehow feel good, because they were now going for rapid ascent. Okay, they are going up. So he was feeling uneasy, so he took water. Let's see. We finally reached the top of the pass at 5,515 meters. It was marked by a large cairn of rocks festooned with white silk scarves and ragged prayer flags. Prayer flags means people normally, when they go, because what's that place called where he is going, the narrator is going? Mount Kailash is a pilgrimage. No? It's a place where a lot of people of Buddhist faith, okay, go. So on the way, what happens, like they get down from their vehicle and they dig the prayer flags. So the prayer flags you might have seen. So likewise, they could see a lot of prayer flags. Okay, among the cairn of rocks. Okay, we all took a turn round the cairn in a clockwise direction, as is the tradition. And Satan checked the tires on his vehicle. He stopped at the petrol tank and partially unscrewed the top. which emitted a loud hiss. The lower atmospheric pressure was allowing the fuel to expand. It sounded dangerous to me. Maybe, sir, Satan laughed, but no smoking. My headache soon cleared as we carried down the other side of the bus. It was 2 o'clock by the time we stopped for lunch. We ate hot noodles inside a long canvas tent, part of a work camp erected beside a dry salt lake. The plateau is pockmarked with salt flats and brackish lakes, vestiges of the Tethys Ocean which bordered Tibet before the great continental collision that lifted it skyward. Okay, so once upon a time, this place where they have stopped, okay, was the ocean surface. Okay, name of the ocean is given Tethys Ocean. But as you know, due to continental collision and all that, many things have changed. Okay, like some places which were above the sea level, okay, they went below the sea level. Okay, a lot of places went below the sea. Okay, and some places which were under the sea, okay, they became plains, okay, without water. So it took place a lot of years ago. It is called continental collision. Okay, continental collision. So once upon a time, this place where they have now stopped for some refreshment lunch, this place was under the ocean. Okay, yes. So now you see, this one was a hive of activity. Okay, the place where they halted for lunch was a hive of activity. Means that there might be some more people there. Okay, who are also taking rest or might be taking their food. Okay, because it is a place where there are some hotels available, petrol pump available. So people used to get down and relax and eat for a while. Okay, now you see here which bordered Tibet before the great continental collision that lifted it skyward. This one was a hive of activity. Man with pickaxes and shovels trudging back and forth in their long sheepskin coats and salt encrusted boots, all wore sunglasses against the glare as a steady stream of blue trucks emerged from the blindingly white lake laden with piles of salt. Okay, so might be salts are available. By late afternoon, we had reached the small town of Bhor. By late afternoon, back on the main east-west highway that followed the old trade route from Lhasa to Kashmir. It was the trade road between Lhasa to Kashmir. Daniel, who was returning to Lhasa, found a ride in a truck. So Satan and I bade him farewell outside a tire repair shop. So there's a place called Hor where Daniel had to get down. So he had taken another truck for his place to Lhasa. Okay, so they have given farewell to Daniel at that particular place called Hor. Okay, now you see Daniel, we had suffered 2 punctures in quick succession on the drive down from the salt lake, and Satan was eager to have them fixed since they left him with no spares. Okay, so of course it's such a challenge. Okay, such a challenging journey. So they underwent 2 punctures. Okay, now they are left with no spare. That is why they have to fix that tire. Okay, so besides, the second tire he had changed had been replaced by one that was as smooth as my bald head. Okay, so that is the humor part. Hor was a green, miserable place. Now, the writer is giving us some description of the place called Hor. Okay, Hor was a green, miserable place. There was no vegetation whatsoever, just dust and rocks, liberally scattered with years of accumulated refuse, which was unfortunate given that the town sat on the shore of Lake Manasarovar. Okay, Lake Manasarovar. Okay. See, Hor is There is no vegetation in the small town called Hor because the visitors left a lot of refuges there, okay, a lot of garbage and all that. As a result, it has become very dirty, that place. Everything littered with refuse, yes. And the writer was very much surprised. Why? Because this small town sat on the shore of Lake Manas Sarovar. As in spite of that, it is a very sacred lake. In spite of that, the people were littering here and there and made the place dirty, the whole town. That is why. So Lake Manasarava, Tibet's most venerated means respected stress of water. Like we in India consider River Ganga, okay? Likewise, Lake Manasarava for the Tibetans is very sacred, okay? Yeah. Ancient Hindu and Buddhist cosmology pinpoints Manas Sarovar as the source of four great Indian rivers. So, Lake Manas Sarovar was the source of four ancient Indian rivers. What are the name of these rivers? You see, Indus, Ganges, Sutlej, and the Brahmaputra. Okay, so these four rivers came there had their origin in Lake Manas Sarovar. Okay, now listen. Actually, only the Sutlej flows from the lake, but the headwaters of the others all rise nearby on the flanks of Mount Kailash. You understand this? Girls, listen. Okay, so listen. So, but I had to wait. Satan told me to go and drink some tea in horse only cafe, which, like all the other buildings in town, was constructed from badly painted concrete and had three broken windows. The good view of the lake through one of them helped to compensate for the drought. Otherwise, it was not a not at all a place worth staying. But as there was a cafe there, okay, for snacks and all that, so we had to stay there. And from one of the windows of the cafe, there was a beautiful view. So that had compensated for the drought-like place, okay, drought-like view, okay, of the place. I was I was served by a Chinese youth. He was served in that restaurant by a Chinese youth in military uniform who spread the grease around on my table with a filthy rag before bringing me a glass and a thermos of tea. Half an hour later, Satan relieved me from my solitary confinement. Solitary confinement means what? Yes, from the lonely position. Okay, because he was sitting all alone in the cafe. Okay, that is why Satan came. For half an hour, he was all alone there. Okay, with nobody around. So after half an hour, Satan came and relieved him from his solitary confinement, and we drove past a lot more rocks and rubbish westwards out of town towards Mount Kailash. Now they were in their final leg of journey. Okay, final leg of journey. Okay, they are almost reaching their destination. This is Mount Kailash. My experience in Hor came as a stark contrast to accounts I had read of earlier travelers. First encounters with Lake Manas Sarovar. Okay, he said, whatever I have read before, because the narrator was a historian. He was a lecturer in one of the universities, might be in USA. So he had read a lot of accounts, information before he came to Manas Sarovar, okay, from the book. Sahil, listen, let me point out. So, there's his experience, the writer's experience, which he has read from the book about Lake Manasarovar and the small town book, was a total contrast. Why? Because whatever he experienced in the whole town was a total contrast from what he read from the book. Okay, quite different, because when he was looking, when he saw live in front of him, it was all dirty and everything. Okay, but in book they are written in a different manner. Okay.